Hey, everybody, welcome back to Ending the Stigma, a path to recovery. So today I'm Fred Carroll, first of all, and I'm joined by Scott H. Silverman. How are you, Scott?
I am well, Fred. How you doing?
I'm well, as well as I can be, that's about it, but I'm not California well, put it that way, but I'm,
Well, and that means something different to every person in California. And there's only 40 million of us, and the average person has at least 2 to 3 undiagnosed personalities. That's 120 million people, which represents about a third of the country right here. So
yeah,
don't
so
worry
we're
about
doing
it.
well. So
You're doing
we do have a guest today,
Hello. Great.
and I'm not going to butcher her name at all. People are going to call her, I'm just going to call her Danielle, but is it Jeune?
Yes.
Is that how you said it? Danielle Jeune.
Yes.
And that's as far as my French goes.
Okay.
It doesn't go much further. So you're Danielle from here on out.
Yeah.
And I had found Danielle. I don't even know how I found you, but for some reason I stumbled across a video with you in it doing sound therapies for addiction issues and for mental health issues and stuff like that. And I spoke to Scott about it, and he's aware that some of this is the experimental side and the scientific side of sound and stuff. So we said, let's bring her on and let's figure out what it is exactly. So first of all, tell us about you and your podcast, and tell us about you as a person, whatever you want to say.
Sure. So I am Danielle. I was a traditional nurse practitioner for over 6 years. I though had a spiritual awakening through recovery myself and realized that I needed to heal people with other modalities. So what came to me was sound. I researched it a lot. I've been meditating a lot, and I realized it was how I wanted to heal my patients more, now they're clients, than my traditional sense through medication. My podcast is called Finding Your Inner Phoenix. I called it that because I feel like I want to help inspire those on their healing journey to find their own inner phoenix while I'm finding my own. I learned I could sing, I can speak really well. So all of these new things came about for me after the pain of my divorce. It wasn't what I wanted, but obviously what my higher power said I needed. So that's a little snippet of who I am.
So share, Danielle, share a little bit about what that means about the, did you use, I think the phrase you used was spiritual awakening?
Yes.
Because I think that people, when they think about recovery or they think about how to move forward when things are happening in their world, and it usually takes a catastrophic event, whether it's you directly or someone in your family or, a parent or a significant other, but share what that means to you, because I think people need to really hear that that's not a bad thing, and it's not necessarily a God thing or a faith-based thing. It's kind of, an opportunity to kind of get out of yourself. And, I have a higher power. I also have a God. And, in the beginning, I didn't know what that meant. So, and the people say, just don't let yourself be your own God, so to speak. So what does that mean to you?
What does it mean to me? So I feel my rock bottom may look different to everybody else. I think to the outside world, I was still working, taking care of, I had a 5-month-old, a 9-year-old, but the pain was so painful to me because my person that wanted the divorce, I've only been with him my whole life. So it was just really painful. And so that was my rock bottom of like this such intense emotional pain for me. But I'm really strong person in a way. So I was able to put my mask on. We talk about for those with addiction issues, they have their mask. Well, from my end, with someone being affected by a lot of people with addiction issues, I have my own mask as well. But I was just at the point that I couldn't take the pain anymore, and I found Al-Anon. So for me, my spiritual awakening may be more intense than others. I think some find, God, potentially Jesus, their higher power. I went a step further because I like to research, or I like to look, and there's a lot of, I don't know, I went more mystical in a sense where I could meditate and I work with my energy. I call them energy cores. I don't like chakras as much. I think it's too woohoo to
So how did you
Sure.
did this all happen to fall into your lap, or did you talk with others? Did you have a mentor? How did you kind of engage, and when did that pivot start, and
No,
how did you get introduced?
I honestly, without sound, it's hard because you don't want to sound crazy, but I can feel. I always
This
could.
is the platform for that. That's okay. You're gonna fit right in. And here's the thing, that this is what I'm pushing you on, because I think people think that when you talk about these things and you share with others and this happens to you, that you are crazy. And to me, these are the kind of things that keep you from becoming, going too far and having that, accelerated, amplified, catastrophic event of your own while you're working on yourself. And when you don't know how and there's no roadmap for it, how do you get started?
Yeah. So I could feel things. I could feel my ex at times. I could feel when it was stressed out. I didn't understand why. I didn't know, as a nurse practitioner, I can feel my patients. I used to freak them out a lot, especially with women. I can feel sexual trauma, and they would really freak out when I would calmly, when they're about to get a female exam, but I could be like, so, it's all of these things I didn't know about myself until this really rock bottom happened. So yeah, I could just, when I meditate now, I can feel the energy move. I'll be as honest as I can be. It's just, I feel that. And I do want to help people not to feel crazy, but there's still that little girl in me when I'm even talking to you, okay, I've been this nurse practitioner. I've been in this box for quite some time. And then to that Western world, I'm a little intense, but I still have to be myself. I'm still really educated. I've just, like you said, it's almost like I have a deeper knowing of who I am now. I didn't know about our soul or our energies and how we're all made up, because I was only taught the Western mind that we're just a physical body, but we are more than that. So
She also sings, because I saw her singing this morning,
I did.
doing karaoke.
Well, it was actually my song. It was the Alanis Morissette "You Ought to Know," because that's when I got really pissed, because my person ran to another woman, and so it did really hurt me. So that was the whole podcast. That theme is anger, and that there's nothing wrong with it, because I think women, or even men, there's nothing wrong with anger. It's a motivational tool, but how we treat people. I'm a very I like to make people be the best versions of themselves. So no, I don't think it's acceptable if you're angry to scream and curse, but you still have to speak your truth,
Yeah, it's interesting. I listened to a few of your episodes.
Yeah.
Specifically, I listened to my story,
Yes.
which was you explaining your story about your parents' separation and divorce, and as a young girl being close to both of them, but being pulled between both of them, and how you love them both, all that stuff. And then you do go into how you moved into this without mentioning who moved you into this.
Right.
And we understand all that, but you do tell enough. You give enough, like you say in the podcast. You actually say, it's out of respect that I don't give you my full story. I'm giving you my version of the story, and it's up to you to figure the rest out, because it's too painful, some of it. And you do get emotional. You do have an emotional value about you. And it's interesting that I do see this is the first time religion has entered into our podcast at all, Scott, I believe, with spirituality. And so I just was looking at the dynamic of having a Jew, an atheist, and somebody very spiritual,
Right.
all on the same screen. But once again, it just goes to show that all of that doesn't matter in the end, that we're all here for the same reason. So whatever I believe and Scott believes and you believe, we still could agree to disagree and come together to help save people.
Agreed. Yeah.
Well, and respecting each other's beliefs, whatever they might be, to me is part of, having that openness and being able to walk the planet in a free and easy way, and be, and practice self-care in a way that, you benefit from. And it sounds like part of your journey with your practicing of self-care, you've come up with some ideas and techniques and some nuggets to share with others to help them better, maybe I call reflective thinking, and help them learn themselves. What's that saying? I taught you everything you know, but not everything I know. And part of that piece that you hold back is to give people the room to explore. By the way, who Fred? Well, when you come back, I didn't realize he was an atheist, and I don't think we're actually talking about religion. I see this more as spiritual.
Yeah.
So atheists get confused sometimes because they're.
What did you want to know about my atheism?
Yeah.
No, I didn't. When you say you're an atheist, I don't think I'm. And by the way, just so you know, Fred, for clarity, this is not a discussion about religion in my perspective.
No, because I saw a comment about Jesus came across and stuff, from
that came from Chris, and he's not Jewish, and he wants to be. So we're not going to let him in. We're not going to let him in until he makes a few.
I could quickly explain though. I get asked this on the other show a lot about my atheism and my beliefs, because I am a karma guy in the sense of I'm still a good human being. So I believe I get paid back on that terms. But where my atheism came out of is growing up with divorced parents, similar to Danielle. My father is a Mormon. My mother is Catholic. But my father was a very good dad, took us every other weekend. I was in a different church every other weekend as a child. One of them has to be lying. That's from a child's mind. One of them isn't telling the truth. And then maybe both of them aren't telling the truth. Then you start growing and you wait, this doesn't make sense. But this guy said this and this guy. So it came more out of confusion and just became a thought process that I wasn't going to concentrate on. And instead I just went into atheism and just decided to be a good human being, if that makes sense.
Of course. But yeah, I even said on my podcast, for me, it wasn't a religious, it was more like my inner finding of myself. Because I actually would say I'm the complete opposite of structured religion. I think, was Jesus an incredible man? Sure, of course. In my mind, he's a light worker. He was a healer. But for me, when I said that, it was more, I meet a lot of people in recovery and they quote a lot from the Bible, and I want to disconnect that from recovery. So that's what I guess when I was communicating that.
Yeah, I just found it interesting. I think the dynamic is I love dynamics. Yeah. I love that three people could come together with different views and still have the same subject.
And it's fascinating, in the rooms of recovery, and I've been in them for a few years. A lot of people are atheists or agnostic. And part of the reason for their explanation is what I've heard is, if there was a higher power, then how in God's name did I spend 22 years of my 40 years on the planet trying to kill myself? So, and sometimes there's a lot of blaming until someone's really kind of gone through that awakening of some sort, whatever that might be, that touches them or they get touched with, to process that. Because at some point we have to learning how to forgive is so important, not only ourselves, but, others as well. Because, I like to think, being Jewish, when I walked into the rooms of recovery, technically AA is a Christian-based program. It came out of the Oxford group. And I remember it was told to me that you must learn to pray on your knees.
Right.
And I remember going to my rabbi and saying, Rabbi, people in AA want me to pray on my knees. He goes, our people don't do that. And so I talked to my sponsor. I said, so what do I do? He says, well, let's keep it simple. When you go to bed tonight, this is back in the 80s, he said, take your cigarette pack, put it underneath your bed, push it way underneath. And when you wake up in the morning and you go to get your cigarettes and you find yourself on your knees, thank God for getting you through another day. So that's kind of how I learned, which was kind of interesting. So that's why I have a higher power and a God, in case I get into a room and people want to arm wrestle with me about, and I think of it as spirituality more than I do religion. Because I think spirituality is different for everybody. And, you can use an ocean, a rock, anything to be your higher power, whatever that might be. Just can't use yourself. That doesn't work out really well. Or your significant other. That doesn't work. We tried that. That didn't work either.
Isn't it interesting how I could spin this out of control and just go into religion all of a sudden? It's just, I love our show. I love that we could do this stuff.
You can do this by yourself, Fred. You just like having an audience that you can bounce it off of, to know if you're really either headed in the right direction, don't really care what direction you're headed in, or the fact that you don't have any real direction and you're happy with that as well.
One of the greatest, and then we'll end this part of the segment, but one of the greatest things was my grandmother, who had a heavy French accent. She was French Canadian, and she spoke mostly French. So I didn't understand her very well. but she could get angry and she would call me Freddie. And she used to tell me all the time if I'm a bad boy, and this is when I'm like 12, if you're a bad boy, you go to hell. You're going to go to hell. It's bad and this and that. And at 12 years old, something clicked with me that said, something doesn't make sense here. And I analyzed it, and between both religions and being thrown at me. And I said, so if I'm bad, I'm going to go to hell where the devil's bad and he's going to punish me. Wouldn't he worship me? If he's bad and I'm bad, wouldn't I be awesome to him? And that's where my confusion started in religion. And then I just never grasped onto either. But I do have sisters who went in different directions. I have Mormon side of my family who I still love. I have no problem with it. My father's a great man. I just don't understand the religious side of it. So that's where I'll leave that. But let's get back to Danielle now.
I was just thinking that.
Oh, for me.
So Danielle, what is it you do each day that you're excited about to help others?
Sure. So I guess I work a lot on my podcast because like Fred was saying, I do sing. So I have to coordinate with my musicians, do that. But mostly it's meditation that I learn for myself so that I can teach others. So I'm working on my own YouTube channel so that I can teach people the sound healing that I have learned that has really helped calm me down. I'm always going to be fiery, intense at times, but I don't feel as scattered. I probably would self-diagnose myself with ADD, and I have a lot of ideas. But
wait, I'm sorry, you self-diagnose yourself?
Yeah.
Are you qualified to self-diagnose yourself? That's funny.
I have, nurse practitioner you can diagnose.
Okay.
But it's not like the healthiest, some boundary issues there, right? But
well, and plus, if you're self-diagnosing, you have a way of charting your notes that help you move in a direction that you're most comfortable with. Yeah. I mean, so it's funny because I hear that from people all the time. By the way, it's interesting when you say meditation. Yes. I've got a little diminished hearing because of my gray hair and being older, but it's almost sounds like medication. So, and when we talk to people, no, it's okay. It's just funny how sometimes we tend to hear things that we're tuned into, which is what meditation really helps, I think, me balance. Just sometimes sitting quietly and breathing in and out, hearing myself breathe. And we have a very excellent mindfulness person who works with us and our clients. And, it's just awesome when you talk about self-care and how important it is. And when most people, unless they've been taught to do it, they don't get it or they don't understand what it really means. It's kind of like exercise. I mean, if you're an exerciser, you get it. But if you're not, you wonder why, then you hear people, oh, my knees, my hips, my back, my neck. Well, why are you out there running 15 miles a day and just pounding your body? Well, because it really feels good when I'm doing it. Okay.
But for me, why I like the sound meditations, because I couldn't sit. So maybe if your listeners can resonate to what I'm saying is I tried to meditate a lot on my own before I found this type of healing. And I would get really anxious and the thoughts would come in my mind. And then I think I was like effing up and I would think like I'm crazy. I can't calm down. Where with the sound healing and binaural beats, it retrains your brain. So even if the thoughts come, they eventually dissipate because of the rhythmic movement. Does that make sense? It's a different level. It's not just listening and it's not just breathing your breath. It's just, you don't have to do anything. This is why I like it for my clients is, as long as you're wearing headphones with my meditations, there's a different frequency in one ear and a different one in another. And then the difference creates the brain waves. So there's different numbers. We don't have to go into detail without being too scientific, but you can get into the best calm state is delta, but that will pass you out. But alpha or theta is where you want to be, where it's calmer, so that you create this sense of relaxation so your body can chill out. So you're always in fight or flight, right? Fight or flight, fight or flight. And for me, when I would do mindfulness breath meditations, it still didn't work for me because I was under so much stress with the traumas I went through. With this, it's helped me regulate my nervous system. Does that make sense? This is why I like sound healing for me and why I want other people to be exposed to it. Because I also would go to therapy for years and there's only so many times you can talk about your trauma. There's only so many times, right? And it's how can you release? For me, it was also a negative energy release I needed to do. And that's what with the crystal difficult.
And you know, talking about trauma, and you know, we have trauma-informed clinicians. Talking about trauma is a tool. There are other tools that one really needs to kind of, you know, like EMDR is a good example of how you actually can remove the trauma to where it's a manageable. And it's interesting, by the way, there's also some science, because I know, being ADHD myself with an 8-second attention span, concentration or relaxation for me are both sides of the paradigm I have difficulty with. So even meditating for me is difficult because I get distracted from any sound, any vibration. I remember going to a drum circle once, and I said, you know, what do you do with people, you know, because they didn't have an amplifier. They go, don't listen to the sound, feel it.
Yeah.
And that was very eye-opening because I never really thought about it. So do you have a way, can you demonstrate for us?
I could do one bowl. Sure. I brought one in here.
You happen to have a bowl with you?
I do. Let me just find my mallet.
Scott, I was listening. I was writing my new book and listening. I had her on the other screen in the background, and it did. I don't know a word for it. It wasn't one of the words she mentioned. It kind of was euphoria in a way.
Yes.
I had this unique feeling of sound. The sound was so amazing that it just, and I was just writing, and you know, I'm just moving along, and all of a sudden I'm sitting there, and she had stopped 10 minutes prior, and I didn't even know. You know, I was lost in this world of noise. So
Okay.
Let's listen.
Okay.
So we'll bring you back if you leave us, Fred. Okay, just keep your headphones on.
Okay.
All right, Danielle.
All right, so this is one of my crystal bowls. It is the heart chakra. So I call them energy cores because I feel like when you say chakra, some people get.
Now, is this bowl actually made for your exercise you're going to demonstrate for us right now?
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
So each of the bowls is tuned to a specific note. I haven't actually memorized them all quite yet, so I don't like speaking on something that I don't, because it's still so like. However, it's a pure tone, so musicians would understand. Whenever you play this, it never changes the note. It is a pure note. So that is why what Fred's talking about is it's so powerful, because it never alters. So just give it a moment, and it's called singing it, or when you get it started, and then it'll get kind of spacey. And it's just this constant vibration, you know. Albert Einstein says everything is vibration, right? So this is a perfect vibration at this certain level at this specific note. I'm pretty sure it's F, but somebody could correct me. And I usually play with, like I said, I usually have 7 of them. And there's different tones that I can do. So I can like release the energy. I can make some dissonance, so it's really powerful. That can like really activate you. So it's kind of bringing ancient medicine within the New Age era. That's kind of what my forefront is.
It's amazing, isn't it, Scott? That it's really amazing that it stays so consistent. It's very loud, isn't it, Scott?
Yeah, I can hear it very well, which is a good sign.
I can really bring it here in a minute.
So Danielle, when you're doing this, are you actually speaking as well, or do you just let people listen to the sound? And what are you instructing them to do when they're listening to the sound? Just listen to the sound?
Yeah. So, okay. So the best case scenario is to actually be in person. There are, like, if you want to go to a sound bath. So, but I do it online as well, because you can still enjoy it. You can still get the calming effect. But if you've gone to it in person, it's almost like your body has like a muscle memory that when you even hear it audio wise, it can like trigger that relaxation. But it still sounds amazing, even audio. I just like to do it live to expose more people, because some people have never heard of it, you know?
And usually you have other ones around you. So it's not one consistent note. Yeah. It's all the notes mixing together and stuff. It's quite beautiful to listen to.
Yeah.
It's almost addicting. It's almost addicting to listen to that.
That's my goal, to be honest, is I would like to help heal people with addictions in a spiritual or more holistic way. Like you'll see my videos, I have amps behind me. Like I want it to be more relatable. I want people not to think like I'm just this monk like from, from Nepal. Like I'm not. I'm like a girl that likes really like I like to be a little vain, but I also really love this, Like I want to expose people that you can be it all and be really calm and centered at the same time.
Yep. Have you done this, by the way, with Zoom with the
Yeah.
pandemic this last year? Because it would be interesting. We have night classes where we bring, up to 15 to 20 people together. And it would be cool to be able to, especially like you said, for someone who's never done this. And we work with a lot of veterans who suffer from, a lot of untreated trauma, a lot of PTS. And, so because what I was thinking is as you're talking, if I wanted to get a bowl, can I go onto Amazon and get a bowl? Or how does one get started with something like this?
You can. I would suggest, I know other places besides Amazon, not that but you do want it from Nepal, actually, even though I say I'm not from, but there are certain things you do want the original. They're not horrible, but it's like one bowl, I think is 130. So it's not cheap, but it's not, it is a bit pricey. My whole set was, over, I got it on sale, but I think it was like $900. So it's not like cheap.
Really?
Yeah, because they're like not, they're a crystal, they're a quartz crystal. And so, the intention is my energy is actually in this bowl. So when I play it, that actually comes out to my people that I heal. The beautiful thing about Zoom, which could be different than in person, is I can also play the binaural beats I was talking about. Because with these bowls, you can't, what am I doing? I can't put it in one ear and then the other, right? But I can still kind of chill you out. But with the Zoom, I add binaural beats. I put some African drums. Like I like to make it cool. Like I don't like to be, some people have a different flair. You'll hear some people, because I can sing the mantras too, which sounds cool. Some people are more angelic, like I don't know, I like more deep soul stuff, if that makes sense. That's my style.
I've worked with people in recovery for, like I said, for a long time. It's funny when expense comes on, they go, well, I really, I can't really afford that. And I always like to ask the question, would you mind sharing with the group how much money you spent in the last 18 months before you got sober?
Right.
Oh, I get it now.
No, it's totally true, but it's priority, right?
It's an investment, and obviously that's an expensive situation, but for a group setting, with a bunch of people in the room, to be able to I like giving people tools. Yeah. And, my definition of leadership is teaching others how to do it for themselves. And, my new book that's just out, it's called The Opioid Epidemic. In there, it's a toolbox. And each chapter is kind of gives you some footprints in the sand that you can follow. Not that you don't, you can go north, you can go south, doesn't matter what direction you go, but with having some footprints in the sand, my example, you can at least get started on that journey and experiment while you're on the path, whatever that might be defined for you.
Totally.
So do you want to sing a song?
There's your book.
Oh, cool. What do you mean? What song do you want me to sing?
Can you sing Inagata de Vida? I mean,
Inagata de Vida.
No. Do you have a song that you like to sing that people might resonate with people that, we're going to try to tap every resource we can with you. We only have a half an hour, 40 minutes. So we want it all.
My other podcast was I Understand How an Addict Feels. So I sang a song about how I understand wanting to get high all the time. So I don't know if you've heard of Tevla, or I can sing, Here I Go Again acoustically from Whitesnake.
Yeah, well, give us a couple lyrics. Whitesnake's probably more Fred's. Yeah, go ahead.
Do you want to, I don't know if I have the instrumentals. Do you want to just a cappella?
Sure. Well, preferably, yeah. Or you can integrate the your crystal as well. Fred just smiling, going, "Oh my God!"
This is like America's Got Talent now.
I know you guys are putting me on the spot.
You don't have to do anything you don't want.
I think we assured her we wouldn't put her on the spot. So let's you're on the spot, girl. You can do it.
No, okay. So, I guess I just need to tell, because I don't want people to. I'm not a music star, but I can sing. So okay. So I don't know where I'm going, but I sure know where I've been. Hanging on the promises and the songs of yesterday. And I made up my mind. I ain't wasting no more time, but here I go again. Here I go again. Though I keep searching for an answer, I never seem to find what I'm looking for. Oh Lord, I pray you give me the strength to carry on, 'cause I know what it means to walk along the lonely street of dreams.
Dun, 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 dun.
Here I go again on my own, going down the only road I've ever known. So yeah, that was my I'm getting divorced, right? So
Listen, it's better. It's more people tune in to hear you sing. More people tune out when I sing versus what you just did. So I thought it was very well done.
Very well done. And Fred and I have been talking for almost a year now that, we're thinking about taking a long trip in a motorhome, and we're only going to bring one person with us.
Yeah.
Fred, if she can drive and bring the crystal and sing, I'll cook, and you can complain. What a perfect group that would be. A long trip in a motorhome. That was great, Danielle. Thank you.
That was great, especially impromptu. There was no warm up to that. So
No.
Well, I have it in my notes. See if we can get her to sing.
Really?
yeah. No. he doesn't actually take no. We actually pride ourselves on never having a script. We just talk. Scott and I just talk like human beings. We don't always agree.
Like human beings, not as human beings.
As human beings, like human beings. But we come from different dynamics. We're a lot closer in age than he likes to admit. He thinks I'm the young guy. I mean, it's like 15 years difference in our ages. That's not that much.
No.
But we both have children similar aged. The only thing we don't have I've never had addiction in my life, but I have a studio, and that's where the dynamic meets. We both care.
But we've identified up to 47 different isms that Fred has, and we discuss those offline. So we bring it forward, and we've actually never physically met. We live at different parts of the country, and we met in this kind of arena, in the podcast arena. So we've just and the reducing the stigma, really was Fred's big idea, and our goal is to bring people together to talk about, what works, to talk about what hurts, and to talk about how we support each other on our journey, whatever that's defined as. And, God knows what's going on in the world today, having tools and having people that can honestly and heartfeltly talk about what self-care looks like. And hope and help is something I talk about all the time. I give my phone number out on television interviews because I want people to call and know, I'm on this funeral avoidance campaign, meaning I'm so tired of going to funerals. And, with the opioid crisis as bad as it is. And somebody called me today, quick sidebar, and said, we don't really talk about that in our group. And I said, I talk about other things as well: behavioral health, healthy relationships, how to do interventions with a child who's, inappropriately acting out, what to do. I work with a lot of different divorce coaches. I'm in California. We have a high divorce rate, and, domestic violence, child abuse during this COVID has been horrible. And people are not it's hard to get better on your own. Really takes a lot of inner strength or something that really pushes us to a point where we realize, we have to raise our hand and say, I need help. And those are the three of the hardest words to say out loud in the English language. And there's science around that. I need help, or I want help. It's really hard to do. So thank you for being so forthright and candid. And you sound great. And no, it wasn't on the agenda, but it'll be good for me. And I hope that, we'll stay in touch. I'd love to bring you in to have you Zoom with our group and just be able to demonstrate a different way of looking at how one might help oneself.
Totally.
Yeah. Now, where are you located, Danielle?
Gainesville, Florida, home of
the home of the Gators.
Yeah, UF, Florida Gators.
Yeah, the Gators. So we've really covered United States here, Scott. We got the South, the East Coast, and West Coast all covered. So that's good for us here. So I guess that's going to be it, Scott. I mean, is there anything else you want to say, Danielle, to the people out there, how they could find you and connect with you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess I have an Instagram page called The Awakened Provider. My website is www.findingyourinnerphoenix.com. So, I'd just be grateful to share, anything, to listen to the podcast and share it with those that are on their healing journey. I offer both insights. It's very mental health based, but it's empowering. I want people to find their power, but I think I'm allowed to curse here. I'm a bullshit router. So while I am kind and graceful, but there's a certain line for me, and I want people to have that power within themselves. So that is my mission.
And your podcast is available on Spotify, correct?
I don't know, it's a bummer. Like iTunes, I'm trying to get it on there, but every time like I go on, it's just I'm doing it all myself. So it's also on Amazon Music. It's on a lot of because I'm using Buzzsprout, I guess, and it will put it on all their platforms for me.
Yeah. Well, I could help you with the Apple thing if you need help, and I'll put it in the show notes. Connect them to the Spotify. Being on Spotify is just as good.
Okay.
It's all good. Apple does provide. There's still 80% of people listen on Apple. That's the difference. So you do have a bigger audience out there.
I need to get there. I feel something's brewing. Like I feel like my podcast is going to take off in a way because I want to be different. I'm singing but yes, I need to get on iTunes. So
no, it's done very well. I listen to it and it's fine. Okay. It's got a great sound to it. You're mic'd up properly. Everything sounds great. Okay, so congratulations on that. But I want to thank you for coming on. Yeah, it's always great to have different side. Like Scott said, you don't know what's going to work for one person. So this is just another opportunity for people to maybe it probably doesn't work for everyone the same, but that nothing does in life. Same with medicines and all that. So that's going to be it for ending the stigma. Scott, you got anything to say? You want to give your phone number?
I do. Yeah. And I want you to write this down, Danielle. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Sure.
Okay. My phone number is 619
Yes.
993
Yes.
2738. And I always encourage people, before you do something goofy, we call it stuck on stupid here in California. We're trying to make it a felony. So 619-993-2738.
Yeah.
Call me, text me, and let's talk about what next steps might look like. And you get in touch as well. And Google me, Scott H. Silverman, so you can figure out how to navigate. And as you said earlier, you are a seasoned, codependent, which is good, which means we'll get along really well because I'm a seasoned, duly diagnosed, unlicensed, retired pharmacist. So we've identified 7 or 8 of my personalities just in my relationship with Fred. So I'm looking forward, to going forward. So thank you for being here today, Danielle. It was great, and singing and sharing your crystal with us. That's awesome. And I'm sure we're going to get some awesome feedback around it as well. And people that are just going, oh my God, it's, feeling good is that simple. Sometimes it can be. And if not for you, someone in your family. So again, as Fred and I like to say, you got something to talk about, let us know. And if you're not sure what to talk about, let us know. And if you like what we're talking about, let us know.
Let us know. And you can find us on, I record all these. This will go onto our YouTube page. This will go back into audio form. So if you want to listen back to it, you can. And that's it for ending the stigma.
Wait, Fred, what's our favorite sign off that you love? The word love. I'll let you do it today. You want to do it?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Can I do
what's that?
I'll do my sign off that I do.
What do you do?
It.
Okay. Are you playing victim? Are you playing martyr? Are you in your power and in control of your life? Have a beautiful day.
Yeah. And
what
mine
do we
is
say, Scott?
What come on! I can't believe you forget it every week. If
someone hasn't told you, if no one told you that they love you today, I love you.
No,
there you go. It took Fred a year to get to that point. He's still uncomfortable with it right now.
I get uncomfortable.
He'll go throw up after this segment, but he'll be okay with it.
The word love coming out of my mouth is not a very comfortable word. So, but that's me. That's my mental health. So that's going to be it for ending the stigma. I am Fred Carroll. That is Scott H. Silverman. And that is Danielle Jeune.
Yay, you got it.
Jeune.
Haven't.
And that was all the French. I could hold on. I'm going to count to 15 in French.
Okay.
Do you speak French,
No,
Danielle?
my grandmother and my mom do. They're Canadian, so it's French Canadian.
So I already got called out that this is wrong, but I'm going to do my best.
Okay.
And it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
Close.
It's the best I could. And I'm like right there. There's a few. It's my listen. I'm between New York and Boston. That's a Connecticut accent right there, added in to the vernacular.
So it's kind of like Lynch, not French.
Right. Exactly. It's got a little masculinity to it. But that's going to be it. Actually, everybody, make sure you're listening on Friday night. On my Within the Head of Fred podcast, Jennifer and I interviewed a woman who, an amazing woman, and she has Tourette's, and we have a deep discussion about what it's like to live with Tourette's, and it's absolutely fascinating, and you get to learn about her tics and her issues, and she also has multiple personality disorders, but it's all mental health related, and I don't usually do that on Within the Head of Fred, but I did, and I'm so happy I did. She's a beautiful woman. So that's it for me, Scott, and Danielle. We will see you guys soon. Be the best versions of yourself. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.